Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. I'm Penny and this is my co-pilot Flynn the cockatiel. Thanks so much for joining us today. I am super excited. I don't know about you, Flynn. Are you super excited? That looked like he was bored. Well, I'm super excited because this is our first ever Sims 4 speed build. And today I'm building a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom Gothic Revival house in Windenburg. And we're going for a tiny house. Well, poor Flynn. Not really a tiny house, but a small house, 95 of 100 tiles. Yeah, Flynn is getting caught in my hair. Not too happy about that, are you? So I figured today we could talk inspiration, talk about what Gothic architecture is and how the Gothic Revival fits into all this. So inspiration. My inspiration for this build was actually a sim I made. I was just such in a mood to make a sim that was a dark academia sim. So she's a writer, she loves books, she has a cat. And so for you that don't know what dark academia is, it's a very popular subculture aesthetic that's happening right now. It revolves around classical arts, higher education, reading, writing, and the clothing with that is, if you kind of can imagine 19th century boarding school, English boarding schools, and Ivy League clothes. That's the clothing. And then colors are usually a lot of brown, muted, natural colors. So I have my sim, and then I'm thinking, she needs a house. What would be the perfect house for this sim? Gothic Revival. So let's start with Gothic architecture, because this is how this all starts. So Gothic architecture was a style that was very popular in Europe from the 12th to 16th century and has roots in France. So actually, for example, the famous Notre Dame Cathedral in France is an awesome example of Gothic architecture. And then what are some of the architectural elements that make a building Gothic? So I have a few of these here. So 1, they were made of stone. That was really big. 2, they had pointed arches, or they're also known as ogival arches. And these arches are pretty cool. They used a lot of arches in Gothic architecture. And they found that it takes the stress off these really high walls, and it allowed them to build walls higher and thinner. So that's pretty cool. And then number 3 is stained glass windows. And it kind of goes along with those arches. Now that they have these arches taking some of the load off the walls, they were able to put in all these huge, awesome stained glass windows. And if you notice, you can think of, some of those classic stained glass windows. They're very ornate, and there's maybe ornate work at the top of them. And that's called tracery. So a 4th thing is vaulted ceilings. And along with these vaulted ceilings, you will see ribbed vaulting. And the ribbed vaulting is basically a ton of, well, not a ton, but a bunch of intersecting arches. So it looks pretty. And then it also gave more support to take some of the load off the walls. Pretty cool. Number 5 is flying buttresses. And yes, this is the butt of all architectural jokes. Yeah, that's all I got. So a flying buttress was a half-arched beam that was attached to a pier. And that was designed to take weight off the walls as well and transfer some of that weight down to the ground. And then number 6 I have for you is a pinnacle. And a pinnacle was a decorative ornament that was on top of a pier. So those are the basics of Gothic architecture. So where does Gothic Revival come in. So Gothic Revival began in the late 1740s in England. It became more popular in the 19th century. And then it started to pop up in the US in the 1800s. And then in the 1820s, it was incorporated into wealthy country estates, upper class homes, and it became a hugely popular style for colleges and universities. A good example of this style of Gothic Revival is the British Parliament building, and that was built in the 1800s. You may have noticed that there's other subcategories in the Gothic Revival, such as Carpenter Gothic, which I thought I was going to be building today, and I kind of changed my mind. I started off that way and went a different way, so maybe another day. Another one is Victorian Gothic and Steamboat Gothic, so maybe we can explore those in the future. It's pretty cool. I very much like the Victorian aspects that were brought into the Gothic Revival, so that's pretty neat. So features of a Gothic Revival, it was basically a mock style of Gothic. So you kind of have some of those elements, but they kind of just did their own thing here. So we start moving away from masonry into carpentry. So with the Carpenter Gothic house, I was initially going to be doing wood siding, but I kind of moved back to that masonry. And now also, instead of vaulted ceilings, we're just seeing these very steeply pitched roofs, and that kind of simulates that height. We still have pointed arches, and you're still seeing that in windows, doors, dormers, gables. Flynn. Yes, I know. You want to be part. Another thing you'll see is a lot of decorative wood trim and scroll work. So that's taking the place of masonry once again. And then instead of pinnacles, now we're seeing spires. So similar, but not structural. So I also thought it would be fun to find out what's in The Sims 4 for this kind of style. There's some. There's some. So there's actually a category for Gothic farmhouse, and Gothic farmhouse is kind of what you would expect, a farmhouse with Gothic Revival style. There is Victorian Gothic from Vampires, and I use a lot of that in this build. That's where a lot of stuff came from. Actually, that bench that we saw was Get Together. Get Together didn't have a ton of Gothic stuff. It had just some random stuff. And then there's the old ruins that came with that pack that are Gothic. That's really cool. I wish they would have added more Gothic style in. So yeah, Victorian Gothic style from Vampires. So that's where that couch is from. It has those really awesome tall chairs, but I don't want to block the window here. So we're just using base game chairs here. We also got some Victorian Gothic from Strangerville, and the windows in this are from Strangerville. I think the doors are from Strangerville. So much of this that's going into the living room here is Vampires. I am definitely not a Supernatural fan. I will never play those packs, but I purely bought that pack just for decorations and furniture and architectural stuff. It's super awesome. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff from Vampires in here. Kind of going for that dark, kind of comforting feel in this place. Kind of looks like it could be somebody's grandma's house almost. Like a little bit dark and old, but comfy, and can sit around the fire and read books and getting the kitty stuff in here now. Out in the kitchen, I use some Realm of Magic stuff. Also, kind of a cool pack for really unique stuff. I kind of have fun using those. They don't go with everything, but I feel like it really went with this. And then if you noticed earlier, I was kind of messing with the outside of the house. Things ended up changing up a little bit later. I wasn't super happy with how it was looking. You'll see that later. So something else that I forgot to talk about with Gothic architecture are gargoyles. Gargoyles were commonly seen in those big cathedrals, and gargoyles were initially installed to remove water from the building. It was basically like an ancient form of gutters. There was a hole in the gargoyle that turned into a spout and would spout the water away from the buildings. And the gargoyles actually date all the way back to ancient Egypt as part of pagan religion then. Later on, the churches started using the gargoyles to scare people. They would be scary looking creatures, and this was because most people were illiterate at that time, so they would try to scare people into thinking that they needed the safety of the church. So just another fun fact. Right now we're moving upstairs to the writing area, kind of the library writing area. I figured that this big landing up here would be perfect for an office for my sim. Went with really dark looking everything and have those kind of Gothic looking bookcases in there. So I thought that turned out pretty cool. And was going with the bedroom now dark again and trying to keep everything purple, and this furniture is really nice and Gothic. This was also something that came with vampires as well. What I really wish we had are some more rugs. I feel like we have a minimal amount of rugs, and I had a really hard time figuring out what to use in this. I think I ended up going with a vampire rug, vampire packs rug, but yeah, I wish we had more rugs. That would be really nice. Flynn has been such a good bird during this whole video. This is his first time doing something like this. He's doing really good. I'll have to give him a special treat or something after. We'll see how this goes in the future. He just really wants to chew on my earbuds though. They're not for birdies. So here we continue with the purple theme, and I knew I had to just break it up a little bit. It was too much purple. Oh, Flynn, you're getting all stuck. Here you go. Of course, I had to make another reading nook for her because I figured she's the type of sim that would just read a book everywhere and anywhere. So wherever I could put books, I put books. So I think, yep, just finishing up the bedroom, moving to the bathroom, which isn't too exciting. This is more vampire stuff going in here. This was not a place I ended up putting books. That would have been kind of funny. The books everywhere, books in the bathroom. That would be really funny. You know, we have yet to have pet birds in The Sims 4. I miss that. We had birds in The Sims 3, which honestly were kind of hard to take care of. And they seem like they died a lot. I don't know why, but I really wish that they would bring back birds, pet birds in The Sims 4. Then I could make my Sim self with Flynn. That would be so awesome. All right, so we're just moving back to the study library area now. I decided I wanted to add some finishing touches. Need all those cat beds everywhere for the cute kitty. So here's a question for you guys. If you were to purchase a Gothic Revival house, would you keep everything original? Would you renovate? What would you do? It's me personally, I wouldn't want to wreck anything. I wouldn't want to renovate. I'd want to restore stuff and keep all that wood how it is. Oh, that'd be so sad to get rid of it. It's so beautiful, and I can't imagine all that time and effort that went into doing all that wood carving and staining, and I find it beautiful. But I'd be curious to know what everyone else would do with their Gothic Revival house. So now we are outside doing some landscaping now. I was going for kind of a scruffy looking yard. I feel like the sim probably isn't the gardening type, so things are kind of just being let go. But I did know that this sim would love to sit under that huge tree and read a book with some lemonade. And then there we are using that Gothic style bench. So perfect. We are just starting to wrap up our landscaping here. So if you've enjoyed this video, you enjoy the Sims, architecture, cute birds, all the above, please like our video and subscribe. And we really appreciate you being here. If you're interested in downloading this house, it'll be available in the gallery, and our origin ID will be available in the description box. And you can come check us out on Twitter and Instagram, and info for that will also be in the description box. So we really appreciate you hanging out with us today. It's been a lot of fun, and we're going to have a lot of fun in the future. And we look forward to seeing you really soon. Bye!
When lights go out, you're in my mind. I close my eyes, so it's just you and I tell myself you'll be back again. When the stars are aligned, we will dance in the meadow on our favorite place. When spring is coming, ooh, ooh, ooh.